Okay, number 8.
All right, number 8. Let's see. Ha!
Ha.
Ha!
Ha.
My number 8 is Letters from Whitechapel.
Letters from Whitechapel.
Yep. Great. So this is my first hidden movement game that I've ever played. It's based on Jack the Ripper. So horror theme, well, real life horror theme. I love the theme. I love just learning about Jack the Ripper. And so that was a draw for me. But also, I never played hidden movement before. That was really fun. I enjoyed that. I got to play Jack the Ripper. I got away with it. But just a really cool, fun game. The way that it has the whole map laid out and, is actually based on history as well as the people in history. So it's a very cool game. And it makes me want to play a lot more hidden movement games because it was just so fun. Lots of times it was incredibly intense because I was really close to getting caught and then just managed to eke out and get by. So definitely a lot of tension. I think at one point in the game I was sweating visibly because I was that close.
The line was great. One of the players was like, he looks at her and he goes, "She's perspiring. We got her. We got her." That literally happened at the table, and she's like, "Ugh."
So just a great theme, really cool, fun game. Letters from Whitechapel.
Yeah. And that's not on my list at all, but it could be with repeated playings.
Yeah.
But we had so much fun. It was really the group of the police officers basically were working together to catch her, and we failed, which is probably one of the reasons it's not on my list. Okay, my number 8.
9, right?
9. No, 8. Are we ready? Are we correct?
Yeah, 8. Sorry.
Okay. Is a game that's on your list already, and it's probably higher than it should be. One side note to these lists is that when you're doing them and you're talking about them and you go through the list and someone starts talking to you about their reasons for it, you start to think, maybe mine should have been higher or maybe mine should have been lower. And this is a game that came out of the gates gangbusters for me. It immediately replaced Lords of Waterdeep. I have no desire to play Lords of Waterdeep again. This game completely replaces that, and it's Champions of Midgard. It is also a game that is waning for me. I'll play it. Like, set it up, let's do it. I taught some people just a couple weeks ago. They loved it. It's like, let's do it. But there's a piece that's starting to fade for me in terms of the excitement. I wanted to say that you definitely, so many people say, just start with the expansions. I know Tom Vassell from the Dice Tower is just like, just play with the expansions. I disagree with him. It gets so complex and deep that it's not that fun. It's also a game that at higher game counts, it just bogs down. You watch people analysis paralysis and you're like, just go, And you're not going to win if you just go. You do have to think it out, but yeah. And there's a lot of dice chucking. It's fun. I'll play it anytime. If this come in, if it's set up right now on the other table and says, "You want to sit and play?" Sure, I'll play. I would just say that even though I put it at 8, I probably should have lowered it because there is something about the excitement factor of the game that has faded for me.
Yeah, to me, the cool thing about it is the combo of worker placement and dice chucking.
They're just
where you're
fantastic.
Actually battling. Like, that's so much fun.
And I cannot explain why the excitement factor has faded. Has it faded for you? Do you know what I'm speaking of?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a game that I couldn't stop thinking about for a while. And now, I mean, every game does that. Maybe it's just passed through its phase.
Yep.
Okay, so my number 8, Champions of Midgard. number 7.
Just a weird voice.
I know.
All right. Number 7. I think this was definitely on my list last year. It's already been on Jason's list for this year.
It was on your list last year?
I think so. Maybe it wasn't.
Okay.
I don't know. Anyway, this is Project Elite.
Nope, it wasn't last year, but I don't think we got it till this year, right?
We must have got it early. Okay, anyway, it would have been on my list last year too. So Jason's already talked about Project Elite in his, so not going to go into too much more detail. The big thing that this game has is it's incredibly active. It feels incredibly chaotic. It truly makes you feel as if you were in a ship and there were aliens rushing at you. So they do a great job creating that feel and that tension, and it's just fun. Everyone in the game is engaged. We play it around a counter island because you have to be standing up, you have to be able to move, you have to be able to move the aliens and your people, you have to, like, you know, so it is a very active game. It's not one that you can kind of sit down and just passively hang out in. I've never met anyone who hasn't just had a blast playing this game. I think one of the challenges for me with this game, there's a lot of parts and pieces to it, and for me, sometimes the inter-round play, the different things that you have to do and pull different cards and get the, you know, you kind of have to reset the board a little bit. It can feel a little clunky. I don't know how, I have no better idea of how to do it. I don't know how else you would do it other way that they did it. So it's great. Don't let that deter you, because once you start playing, it is so much fun. Dice chucking, moving, blasting aliens, trying to hit your objective. Just super fun game. Love Project Elite.
Yeah. I never taught this to someone that they didn't love it.
Yep.
End of story.
Yep.
Okay, so Jenny's number 7 is Project Elite. My number 7 is been on your list already, and it is a game from Simon as well. I like a lot of their games. Fantastic miniatures and dark, fantastic theme, and it's called Bloodborne. And it's your little miniature. You got a little guy. It's cooperative, and you're exploring the town. And the whole thing is in a scenario. So the cards tell you how to flip the tiles and lay out the thing, and set the tiles up, and you explore. And monsters come. It's a pretty brutal game, but it's not unwinnable. We win it, and we just have a lot of fun. And the more we've played it, we've kind of ironed out some of the confusing pieces. I would say they just didn't completely nail that rule book, and they didn't completely nail not being confused. They just didn't. And so once those have been ironed out, we started to go through the stories and figure what things out, and we just keep going through new scenarios or chapters. And so each scenario of the arc is 3 pieces, and 1, 2, and 3, and it gets, you know, obviously it gets worse and worse. There's a boss fight at the end, and the boss fight, and then the mega boss at the 3rd one, and you're just exploring this dark city, and it's just fantastic. I remember our idea is to kill people who have the plague and who have the sickness, right? And there was a choice point in the story in the very beginning, and it was like, okay, there's this little kid that's sick. What do you do? And we're like, ooh, this is dark. Remember that? And we're like, but we're supposed to kill people who have, that's going to spread the plague to the world. So we kill the kid. It was the right move. Like, that's how dark the game was. It was like, okay, you win. I was like, whoa. We were like, holy crap. This is a game back kind of in the Middle Ages. The start of firearms, you know, with this dark demonic thing that is infecting the city. And and you're like a hunter, basically. That's your job, and you're going to hunt and stop the demons and stop the spread of the plague. And it's a dark game. It's a dark game, and it's loads of fun. Jenny, what's your number 6?
Number 6. My number 6 is another alien game, Nemesis.
Nemesis! Oh.
Yep. So this has already been on Jason's list. Again, just a very fun game, big epic game. Running around a ship, trying to fix things, trying to find things, trying to not only get back home, but also meet personal objectives that you have. A great, again, another squeaker of a game where sometimes we die, sometimes we live.
Most of the times we die.
But even when we die, it's like that moment where you can see the finish line and you're just reaching for it, and then you just don't make it. So it's really fun in that way if you're just, be along for the ride, be along for the fun. We have won it before. I think we've died more times than maybe even, I don't know. But the miniatures are really cool. The aliens are super cool. And just a big, huge spread of a game, lots of components, lots of different things that you do when you explore different rooms. The different characters that you can play give you slight advantages here and there. So really figuring out those characters and how to maximize them and play them well off of each other and figure out who's the strongest at what in order to, make your odds the best. So Nemesis.
Okay, so my number six is a board game that's been on your list, and we talked about it a lot, so we don't have to talk about it too much more. And it is Cthulhu: Death May Die. Which is just a fantastic game. You play these investigators. It's kind of the Cthulhu mythos. It's a genre, and you go through these different, each scenario has different problems that you've got to solve, and you move through, and these cultists and monsters just keep popping up, and you got to stop the ritual before they summon the bad guy. And if the bad guy comes, you get to kill him. So that's why it's called Death May Die, because you can kill Cthulhu. You can win by killing him. Mm-hmm. And so just like it just gets better and better, and it again kind of it goes right with Nemesis in that it's cinematic. You sometimes die and you have to play the scenario over again, but it's not overly punishing, and the rewards of some of the cinematic cliffhanger wins makes the game so fun. Cthulhu: Death May Die. All right. We're going to go to number 5. Number 5.
All right. So my number 5 is one that Jason said that it's a newer game for us, and he didn't move it higher because he didn't want to be just fanboying over it, but I'm gonna fangirl over it. So it is Lost Ruins of Arnak. So we just got this game not too long ago, but to me that's how good it was, is that it was that much fun first time around. So there's a lot of games out there that I'll play once, for the first time. I'm like, okay, I'll play it again. But Lost Ruins of Arnak was just so much fun. I can't wait to play it again. It's another worker placement type game. You are gaining points, but there's so many different ways that you can be doing it. It's highly dynamic. It's not just as straightforward as a 1 or 2 or 3 track game where you're trying to gain points. It's varied, it's dynamic, it's fun. And you do have to watch what your other people are doing. So if they catch on to how you're trying to do it, and you really, I don't think you could win that game just sticking with one method. You do have to mix it up. And it's a really beautiful game. The components are cool, and it's just fun. I mean, from the moment we opened it up and started playing it, again, if you're not familiar with worker placement games, this one might be a little big to learn at first if you're not learning from someone who already knows how to play it. But just incredibly fun. One of the things I really like about this game is you start the game and you have 2 meeples. And so you're looking at this and you're looking at your options. And you're like, my round is going to be over in like 2 seconds. This doesn't seem like it's, which right there, there's a lot more going on with the game than just placing your 2 meeples, which there is. So your turn gets extended quite a bit by what you can play in your cards, what you can do with your meeples, what you can buy, how you can trade in your resources to do different things on the board. So it's not a straightforward, I place a person here, I get this thing. I get basically kind of, a little mini engine going every single round by looking at all your options and then getting exactly the resource that you need to move somewhere else on the board, doing something else on the board. So it is just a super fun game. Lost Ruins of Arnak.
My number 5 is a game that's been on your list. So we've talked about it ad nauseum. We'll probably talk about it every year forever. It is Gloomhaven. Just love this game. Love this game. When I started this list, it was at number 2. It was at number 2 for the year. And then I realized I just hadn't played it enough. And then I knocked it down. That's how I did it. Again, it could be the game of the year if I only played this. Just a work of art. Gloomhaven is a work of art, but it's also something, just like you got to be careful. You can't just go buy Gloomhaven. I think there was a friend of ours, I heard, and they said, yeah, I wanted to get into gaming, and I've heard about, like there's a new renaissance, and so, I played Risk and Monopoly my whole life, so I bought this big game called Gloomhaven. I was like, oh, that's not the game to start with.
Yeah.
Gloomhaven, fantastic game, so well done. That is my number 5. Number 4.
You're going to do that the rest of the time.
I think I've got a reaction from you. I will. Number 4.
All right. So my number 4, again, a game that we just started playing recently because we didn't just barely get it. We got it a little while ago. But my number 4 is Ankh. So Jason's talked about Ankh, big Egyptian themed game, really cool miniatures, all sorts of things going on with this game, battles and building things and taking control of things and using the powers that your particular Egyptian god has to work to your most optimal benefit, while also screwing over your opponents. The other guardians that you can enlist and put in your army and their specific powers. It's just a cool game. The theme is cool. The board is beautiful. The miniatures are beautiful. They pull through the Egyptian theme really nicely. So yeah, Ankh has just been incredibly fun. I think we cracked it open. We've played 3 games, I think, in a row, which for me is really unusual. Usually I'll play a game and I'll be like, okay, let's put it away for a second, pull out something else. But I'm like, no, let's change out gods and play it again. Let's trade out gods and do it again. So right there, this game definitely has something very special. For me, part of the really cool part of it is that Egyptian theme and how nicely they pull that into the game. So, Ankh.
Which is your number 4, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I've said everything. I love it. I put it down on the list because it was brand new. So absolutely fantastic game. Okay, my number 4. She screwed up because she did not rate this higher. My number 4 is Res Arcana. just the best game. It's amazing.
Well, it's not the best game. It's your number 4.
There's something about it where we can all just sit down and play it.
Yeah.
Just get that game out, set the little tray out, get everyone 5 components, 8 cards, whether we do the draft or not, get going. Just do it. Hop in. And it's like you said, it's familiar.
Mm-hmm.
It has become a very familiar game. I'm really looking forward to the second expansion that's coming out. It's just Res Arcade. Great game. Highly recommend it. My number, say that again, 4. You ready for number 5? 3. I went the wrong way. Number 3. Went the wrong way.
All right, so my number 3 has also been on your list before. It's another big kind of epic war game, and that is Lords of Hellas.
Ooh.
So
So good.
So good. Lords of Hellas. It is a dudes on a map game, but there's lots of different ways that you can win this game. There's a lot of strategy to it. Miniatures are super cool. The theme is super cool. All the different things that you're trying to do to really maximize and be able to maneuver optimally. The monsters are cool, and figuring out ways to kill the monsters. So, and the way that your cards play into that. So just a very smart, clever game, really cool looking. And, it is fun because you can win using different strategies. So it's just not a straightforward bash each other over the head kind of game. There's lots of things you can be doing to get up there and win the game. So my number 3, Lords of Hellas.
Lords of Hellas. Let's write that down. My number 3 is a game that's already been on your list. We do have some overlap.
We have a lot of
A hard overlap.
Probably because we play mostly with each other.
It's just a matter of where we position them, right? We have not had one duplicate here. I mean, not duplicate.
At the same.
Yeah, we haven't had anyone.
No.
So, this is a big, sprawling game. We've talked a lot about it. I don't want to go over it all again. It is Dwellings of Eldervale. Designed by Luke Laurie and published by Breaking Games. Just a fantastic mess. It's huge. It does so many things. It's just great. It's an absolutely great game. And this is one of those ones where I gotta say, let me say a real quick thing is what Breaking Games did is they did the Kickstarter, and then everyone's all like getting their Kickstarters, and I'm like, well, I'm screwed, right? You're just screwed. And they go, no, we're gonna have a certain amount that we bought for ourselves that we're gonna put on our website, and they sent an email out, and you can come in. It's gonna be a midnight, or I think it was noon on this day, Pacific Standard Time, be there, and we'll sell it out. And I was like, okay. And I set my alarm, and I remember I was at 11:59. I kept refreshing, and they turned it on 1 full minute early. I just popped it in my box, and I just bought it. Just set it, and I got the Legendary Edition with the best components. 100% upgrade those components. And I know that there's even, you can go on Etsy and other places that even people have created even better components. It's just a fantastic game. And so I was really grateful that Breaking Games created a space for people who had started to build the hype, and they build the hype, and they're like, oh yeah, I'll get that game. It's like, no, you didn't. You didn't order it 2 years ago on Kickstarter. So they had an option for it. And I joined the Facebook group, and Luke Laurie, the designer, actually interacts on that so much. It's really wonderful. You can just thank him personally and say that. Dwellings of Eldervale is my number 3, and I would play it more if it weren't so hard to get to the table, and someone else would set it up for me. All right. All right. We've only got 2 more to go. 2 more to go. Top 2.
Top 2.
Okay, what do you got for number 2, Jenny? Number 2. Is that what you were waiting for?
Yes. Yes. All right, my number 2 is.
Wait a minute. I should guess this. Because I know you're number 1. Damn it, I know you're number 1. I don't know. What am I missing?
I did something you didn't do. The Crew mission.
You cannot do that. That's cheating.
I did it.
Oh.
Mission Deep Sea.
It's the same game.
It's not.
It is.
It's not.
I'm not listening. I told you not to do that. I told her. She doesn't obey.
All right, so the Crew, just, I can't say enough about the Crew just in general. This game is just so fun. And it's, again, one of those games, it's like, we have 10 minutes, get the Crew. To me, the Crew it's addictive. It is just so much fun. The Crew Mission Deep they really did a cool twist on the original Crew, which if you're listening to anything about the Crew, you've probably heard that a million times. But it's true. They really did do it. Before they came out with Mission Deep, I was like, I don't know how they're going to... I mean, it would be cool if they even just kind of did what they did, because it was so much fun. But they really switched it up, and they switched it up in a way that doesn't compromise the game at all. It makes it more interesting and more fun. Well, not more interesting or more fun, because it is my number 2. But the Crew Mission Deep Seas. Mission.
It's the sea one, the new
Deep
one.
Sea.
Yeah, Deep Sea. Fantastic game, the fantastic second. You know, this is the sequel to the first one, so they nailed it. They hit it out of the park, and it's one of those games that you. It's actually not a 2-player game. We don't play it 2, but we have to play it with other people, and that's a great game. You can't say enough about it. Number 2 for you. Number 2 for me is a list that's been on your list already. Can you guess it?
Your number 2?
Yeah.
It's been on my list. Did Dwellings.
The Dwellings. She gonna guess it? Thousands and thousands of people are watching right
I
now.
know. Oh! Oh, no, wait, no.
Did you get it or not?
I know what your number 1 is.
Yeah, you know what my number 1 is.
It's the Crew. Your number 2 is the Crew.
Nope.
I don't know.
Dune Imperium.
What? What?
Dune Imperium.
I thought Dune was going to be your number 1.
No. Dune Imperium. I am riding high on a 5-game winning streak. And when I win, the game gets better.
It moves up.
Moves up. It's a game, Jenny mentioned this about Onitama, as a game that you better bring everything to it. And sometimes the mental stress of being so present in a game is too much for me. I want to have some fun. But Dune allows me to bring you better be paying attention. And in fact, I'll tell you something. We did something recently where we had 5 people. It's a 4-player game, so you can't play with 5. So we teamed up. Mm-hmm. And I loved that. Like, half the mental load was taken. Like, I didn't have to think about everything, right? I had a backup mental thing. So, oh man, this game is so good. I love the Dune universe anyways. Couple times I played it, I was like, oh, it's pretty good, but it one of those ones you just kept playing and loving it and getting it. Like, you started, the turbulence of what the hell's going on was gone. Mm-hmm. Now it was like, okay, what can I do? And just an absolutely fantastic worker placement battle game. There's only 10 points to get, so each point matters. right? And you can see the point come up, and everyone looks at it and goes, "Oh, we want that point," and it's game on. You know, everyone's going for that point in the conflict. So, fantastic game, absolutely great. My number 2, Dune Imperium. Oh, so we already know what Jenny's number 1 is because, okay, what's your number 1?
The Crew.
You can't do
The
that.
other Crew.
The
Deep
first
Space.
Crew.
Deep Space. Yeah. So I kind of cheated. Not
You
really.
cheat.
And not really though. They're both the first Crew and the second Crew. Same concept, but they did it in very different ways. So I do feel like they're distinctly, I'm going to give them credit for making 2 distinctly separate games. They didn't just take Deep Space and just keep going with it. They really switched it up. So, but the original Crew, I'd never really played a trick-taking game before. I wasn't really sure
You
what
weren't
it
even
was.
familiar with Hearts, were you?
No, I wasn't familiar with Hearts. And so, but once we started getting rolling with the Crew, it was just so much fun. Quick to play, you can throw it down. It's a card game. Just throw it down really quickly. If you only just have a few minutes, you can get in a few rounds. But, just the cooperative nature of a trick-taking game, and it's smart. You have to play smart, or you put down the wrong card and it could just bomb everything. You choose one slightly different card in your hand and you guys can win a mission that you haven't been able to win over and over again. So the Crew, Deep Space.
It's amazing. What we've all been waiting for. My number 1. You've probably guessed it already because of the way things shook out with her 1 and 2, which was the same game. My number 1 is the Crew.
Which one?
I'm not going to say it. It's just the Crew. Both games. Though I second everything you said about being really surprised that the second game pulled off such a same game, different feel.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So a cooperative trick-taking game. So many times playing Hearts growing up, and just you got to win, shoot the moon, get all 13 points, and give everyone else. It's just a great game. But this game, I just have never hit anything as addictive as this game. It just is a phenomenon. It's so phenomenal, in fact, that my cards of my box are so sticky, literally.
They've just been worn.
They're just worn and they're sticky, and you can't even shuffle them and hand them out. You just have to one card at a time. And we got the new game, the Deep Sea one, and I'm like flipping out the whip, just dealing the cards, going, "Look at these cards!" and I'm like, and so everyone's all like, "Well, just go spend $13 and buy another copy." And I was like, and this is a game that has 50 missions, and we finished it. So many of the games, if you've been on this journey with us, these campaign games we have not finished. This campaign we finished.
Yeah.
We just kept playing and marking it on the book, and it's not really a campaign story-wise, but I can't say enough about this damn game. The Crew. I don't think there'll be another game like this that'll come and hit me like this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you've seen the style, the Nemesis, the Dwellings of Eldervale, Gloomhaven, these games, they're games. Here's this little $13 game on Amazon, and you just sit around, and Tom Vassell from the Dice Tower recommended it. I was like, okay, I don't even know what possessed me. He liked it so much. I thought, we'll try it. Sat down, and whoa, our gaming group, the 4 of us, I mean, that's what we do. We crew.
Oh yeah. Yep.
I can't say enough about this game. Go get it. Find a group of 4 or 3. 5 is real tough. It's harder. Some of the missions at the end, they get so hard that it's kind of easier when you get down to 3 people.
Yeah.
But oh my gosh, what a game. What a game. So just absolutely the top of my list. I don't think it'll be there next year because I'll move on to some other game, but it might be. It might still be at the top. But I'll probably never play the old game again. I finished it. I've gone through all 50 scenarios, unless I'm teaching new people.
Yeah.
So, okay, so we're gonna wrap this up with some honorable mentions, and then I'll kind of go over our list from last year real quick, just so you can show how it changed. So, would you like to go first with your honorable mentions?
Sure. So I have 4 honorable mentions from this past year. So one of them is Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea. Again, this one, it was right on the edge of getting into my top 25. It's a really fun game. It's got some cool mechanics. We've played it a couple times. For some reason, it just hasn't quite made it back. So it's one of those ones where I feel like I need to play it a couple more times and get a better feel for it. But Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea. Do you want me to keep going?
No, I've got 4 too.
Okay.
And here we go. Our first match. Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea is my first honorable mention.
I didn't rank them.
I know, but it just happened to be the top one on the
Okay.
list. So there you go. Yeah. I think, I don't know, it just slipped between the cracks. It's a game that we could have ended up playing a lot more, and it just didn't happen.
Yeah.
No. Okay, go ahead.
All right. Another honorable mention is The Others. So this was actually made Jason's list.
25, yeah.
Yep, clinging onto the edge there. There's something about The Others that I just love. The theme is really cool with the 7 deadly sins. It's a one versus many game, and it is super fun. I feel like if you can get someone who plays the sin character and plays them in a really fun, like, interactive way, and you have a group of people, it makes it a lot of fun for that group. So it's a fun game. I think we've found a few loopholes with it that can make it a little less fun during some of the battles, but I think that's okay. We've overcome them. So, but The Others is definitely still up there for me.
Okay, my next honorable mention was your number 25, which was Mansions of Madness. Definitely an honorable mention. If we just played it more often, there are a lot of expansions to it. I think if we ever got in a Mansions of Madness mood and just started playing for a weekend or 2 in a row, we could easily dive into that.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. My third honorable mention is Forgotten Waters. That was on Jason's list. Again, a cool game. I don't feel like we've gotten into it enough for me to rank it, but as far as a game with an app and a thematic feel, and I think they've done a really nice job with the storytelling on this game. And to be honest, if you kind of like to role play just a little bit, at least do accents, and you want to read the parts yourself, that's fun. So I really feel like they've done something special here, and we need to get back to it and explore more of it.
Perfect. My third honorable mention is one that's on your list, and it's high on your list, and we've only played it once. You see, she doesn't care. We play once, loves it, put it at the top of the list. I always have to say, I got to give this a buffer. It's Letters from Whitechapel, which is a fantastic game. It's just, we'll see if it moves up, and it almost surely will. Just a fantastic game. We just had so much fun hunting her down, and we failed. She got away with the murders, but it was just fun. Just the way it's designed. It's stressfully cool.
Okay, and then my last honorable mention is something that's completely different. But it is the game Dixit. So Dixit is a fun game. It's a fun game. You could say it's more of a kind of a party-ish game, a little more lighthearted, where you're just trying to figure out who put down what picture while, gaining points doing so. but it's clever. The artwork is cool. I really want to get the expansions to this game to get more of the artwork and build the decks in it. And it's an easy game to get into. It's an easy game to throw down on the table and just get a group going. So Dixit.
Yeah. And my other honorable mention, I think, is a game on your list, is Aquatica.
Yeah.
Which I think just needs time to bake. So I like it. Okay, couple last minute pieces. I'm going to list every other game I played this year. Okay, so it's quick. Dixit, which I liked. Onitama, again, you have to bring your A game to it. Time Stories, which we finished up the Time Stories arc, the first season. Time Stories was my number 1 last year. I don't think I had more fun playing any game than Time Stories, right? This year's game was The Crew. But Time Stories is over, and so it's just not on my list anymore. Nidavellir, I played, don't like it. Dominion, we had it's an old classic, the old classic Dominion. Yeah. And we had some friends watch our house while we were on vacation. We came back and she had Dominion set up and we just ended up playing for 3 or 4 hours. Wow, what a game. I mean, so I did play it and I loved it. Our friends also introduced a game I'd never played before. It's called Rummy Cube. Apparently it's an old classic game. I mentioned it to some friends of mine and everyone's all like, oh, you finally played a game I know. Now, I'm not a big fan of Rummy Cube. Okay. 2 more games we played was Deception in Hong Kong. Fun game, absolutely fun, but not really my kind of game. So, and then I'm surprised you didn't put this on the list. Someone taught us this game, and I found out that I actually had it in my basement. I went down and said, oh, I've got that game. Never played it. It's called Rook. And actually, we were taught it as Mormon Rook. What that means, I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah, and I can't actually find the game that we were taught out there described, and so that's why it didn't make my list, because I don't know if it,
and so,
but it was really fun.
So we were on a vacation and she learned it. I didn't play it, and then she brought it and she told me, and I said, hey, I got that downstairs. I went and got it, and we ended up playing it. It was a fun game. It was really fun. So yeah, it's definitely a game. Okay, interest. So very quickly now, let's go over last year's list just as a thing. So I'll go over yours first. Okay, your number 10 was Gloomhaven, still on the list. Number 9 was Castle Ravenloft, gone. Blood Rage was your 8, which is the trilogy with Ankh and Castle and Rising Sun. I think we didn't play it this year.
Right.
Yeah, no play this year. Deception in Hong Kong was on your list, number 7. Your number 6 was Mansions of Madness, and your number 5 was The Others. Your number 4 was Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea. Your number 3 was Time Stories, which is now completely off the list. Number 2, Cthulhu, Death May Die, and number 1, Rising Sun.
Huh. Interesting.
Interesting, yeah. Okay. My number, I did 11. So my number 11 was Zombicide Black Plague. I mean, it's a Zombicide game. We all, but it's actually, we went through our Zombicide phase and we haven't played it all year.
Yeah.
So there you go. My number 10 was Blood Rage. Number 9 was Wingspan, which is completely off the list now. Number 8, Gloomhaven. Number 7, Cthulhu, Death May Die. Number 6, Lords of Waterdeep, completely off, replaced by Champions of Midgard. Number 5, Res Arcana. Number 4, Rising Sun. Number 3, Mansions of Madness. Last year was a Mansions of Madness year. Number 2, The Others. And number 1 for me was Time Stories, which we played the whole first arc except for the last piece, and it was so fantastic. Okay, everybody, thank you for joining us on this journey. It's kind of one of the favorite things we do every year. It gets us an opportunity to go over all the memories that we had together and playing games with each other and with others. And so it's a wonderful opportunity to share that joy with you.